Hello, good morning. Labas. I meant to start with Labas.
Labas, Krista. Labas, Vilma.
Labas, labas.
Welcome, everybody. This is Laura and Vilma, my amazing clients from the #CEO World Record, which has been incredibly so successful. So these are now, you are looking at the faces of Extreme Excellence World Record laureates who have led this incredible movement, which is very unusual, actually. It's different from any of the other world records we've done before. And we want to, while we've got a documentary in progress. It's in post-production. We filmed it in Lithuania just a couple of weeks ago. Oh my gosh. But there's some other things that we want to talk about that I wanted to share and deep dive with Laura and Vilma, because they are so amazing at these particular skill sets, but also there's just really special stuff that happens. So the CEO World Record was for the most countries represented by CEOs, and by CEOs we mean high-level impact-driven CEOs, answering the same question, and we're going to get into what that is. But first I want to throw to you, Laura. What is the Holistic Enterprise? Tell us about your business and what you do, what you two do.
Right. We are catalyzers, changing the traditional top-down kind of approach to that is tolerating growth at any cost, to literally seeing the business as the interacting ecosystem that goes far beyond your entity, as boundaries, where we meet the whole person, both at work and in life, where we kind of allow inner conflict to be heard, and have this, as we speak with Vilma, weaving accountability and impact and prosperity in the entire ecosystem. So we work kind of together for one purpose and have this heartbeat beating in us. So that's what we do. We inspire leaders to take those brave decisions and actually look inside of them and stop looking outside, and dare to be those change makers in the field.
Yep, and you certainly do that. And I can say, because I've seen everything behind the scenes, that is so how you work. I think one of the most interesting things, not one of them, I mean, I'm trying not to do spoilers for the documentary. People, you have to watch the documentary because there's a lot of backstory, okay? But there will be a story in the documentary where you hear how Laura ran her own business very transparently in a way that people don't normally do, and it's super interesting. So, Vilma, I want to ask you, what was, and the two of you might have different answers for this, so we can do both of you, but what was it about doing a world record as opposed to just doing business, doing life, doing the usual thing, that was interesting or exciting to you? Why was it a world record that you wanted to push yourself to achieve?
Oh, you're asking deep questions, as always, Crystal. And this world record is, at the beginning, it was kind of like unique opportunity to tell what we feel, what we think. And we are working with Laura for 10 years in local market, and having some clients beyond Lithuania. And now it is kind of like unique opportunity to speak up our message, and to find those maybe hidden pearls who think the same way, and are creating and different organizations. But very fast, from the very beginning, I remember you told us that you guys will be different persons. So this was changing, transformational, even journey for myself and then for both of us. I know, but I'm speaking about myself. Discovering a lot of layers behind this holistic idea and better understanding what we do, what is inside our world, how does it interact with outer world. And I dare to say that listening to all those remarkable interviews, that it was transformational journey for all our participants. You know, when Laura was recording interviews, and later on I was listening, sometimes it was kind of like chilling and goosebumps going on, recognizing, understanding, and asking question, the same deep question. People had possibility to stop and to think about the impact, about their own role, about their teams. So this world record, it was not just unique opportunity, appeared to be not just unique opportunity to speak up, but it is and still continues to be an opportunity, a mean to bring together very powerful community and to transform. I really see that we are transforming lives.
I love that, Vilma. I'm going to ask you one more question. So I loved how you talked about, we did talk at the start definitely about how you'll be a different person at the end of this. And you can never really tell at the beginning of a journey like this how you'll change. You just will, and each person is going to change differently. What would you say is different about you now through the process so far? And by the way, we're just like in phase 2 of the whole process, because the world record is just the beginning. Like, we'll talk about that. But so far through the process of like delivering that first part, which is the world record itself, what are the changes that have happened to you personally, Vilma? All the questions today.
Yeah, these questions, the first reaction to the question is that there is such a lot of things that I would love to tell and to share. But then, it makes to think, what is the most important discovery so far? So now, at this moment, tomorrow maybe I will think differently. Not maybe, I know that going further, my understanding will change. But until now, I feel myself personally, I feel more comfortable with unknown.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Yeah. And, from my childhood, I remember myself that I was the one who was trying to bring the light to unknown and to make unknown known and somehow to control it, just to have illusion of control and safety. And now I think that with your help, with this, with Laura's help, with this remarkable project, I truly stepped into different dimension, and maybe tame is good word, or embraced. Yeah, I embraced unknown and the power of unknown, when you can, you have a lot of possibilities, and at the moment of time you can crave it, co-create, add, leave something, and you feel so free. And at the same time, I'm surprised myself that I feel relaxed with this.
That is so cool. It's like, oh yeah, just casually became world's best, walked through the fire, and I'm totally relaxed about it. I think what's beautiful about what you said, becoming comfortable with a no, is glowing off you right now, because you just got a very beautiful yes. We're literally running this meeting right after a very successful, beautiful meeting that you came off. And it really helps with the whole I don't want to know thing. when you get yeses from the world's biggest multi-billionaire scientists, people doing stuff in space, people doing things in health sciences, people building food. I mean, it starts to be less important the no's that you get, because when we're thinking so, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but when we're thinking so outrageously large, and those things happen, they happen, these people which you're like, we'll just try, like, we're just going to give it a crack, right? And they say yes, then the no's are just like, your loss. It really is truly their loss, because they're going to see it later. You know, they're going to see this later and go, whoops, I didn't get involved. And so you get less attached to that, because they don't know that you're getting these yeses from the likes of Naveen Jain, David Meltzer, Nona Yahya, these kind of people, and not only getting yeses. So I just want to take a moment to congratulate you both properly right now, because you not only got yeses, you got praise, you got comments from some of the most audacious people on earth with the biggest goals, doing biggest thinkers on earth, saying this is such an ambitious project, this is amazing. And this is like self-selecting to comment on social media this kind of praise for you. So yeah, we can talk the numbers, but I think the most beautiful thing here is that it wasn't just you got yeses from people, that even you were able, as you said, Vilma, to transform the lives of people who most people would consider cannot grow any further. But it isn't ever true, because as human beings, we're never finished. We're not, I mean, you're finished the day you die. That's the last opportunity to grow, right? So even talking to these upper echelon multi-billionaires, biggest leaders in the world, household names, doing crazy stuff, where we watch the interviews, and Laura, I'm going to talk to you in a second, because I don't know how exploded your brain is after talking to all of these people, 52 interviews in just a few weeks at this upper level. But knowing that those people still have further to go too. As human beings, we're never done. And that the goal is to push that as far as possible in the lifetime that we have. That is legacy. That is legacy. And the fact that you've been able to assist those people through your legacy project, which is just the beginning, you've been able to assist people that most people would just go, oh, well, that's as far as they can go. And maybe even they thought they were as far as they could go. But what we saw was when Laura asked the question, most people stopped and went, oh my God, how do I answer this? Which means even the people at the upper echelons leading $8 billion companies, like outrageous stuff, still are unfinished projects, and they still have further to go. And you and your team, this project, were able to help them think bigger. So I just wanted to reflect that back, as the results are astounding. We're up to 355,000 social impacts now with just 52 interviews, which is so amazing. And it's just getting started, because there's a documentary, there's a book, there's case studies, a whole heap of stuff that we'll talk about where you're going from here. But I think, yeah, what do you think on that, Laura, about how the transformational process, and let's talk about you, what it was like to interview the world's most prolific leaders doing the most outrageous things, and then see that you were igniting opportunities for growth within them, and then they reflected back to you that you were doing something that they were impressed with. From Lithuania. We're going to talk about Lithuania too, because I just visited and it's so beautiful. But it's unexpected. It's not where you think this thing is going to come from, right? So how did it feel to you to be doing 52 interviews with some of the world's most incredible leaders who are genuinely focused on impact? What was that like?
It was such a transcendent experience, because every time I needed to get in contact with any of these beautiful minds, I thought how I can connect not with the status, because the world record in itself was called CEO World Record, because we truly wanted to get the attention of those people who make the decision to trailblaze and pioneer, but like truly to connect to that purest essence of who they are within this 30 or 40 minutes, and with some of them even shorter time, and kind of reveal and heal and let them be vulnerable, like drop the curtain, drop the mask. And and I knew that if that's what I want them to shine through, I have to be that myself. So literally it was transcendent in a way that I was so aware about my energy throughout these days that I never been in my entire life. And it was in a way, I wouldn't say, yeah, it might look like it was egoistic, as I was really focused, and I had to be really, really focused on that, because that's a world record, that's what it requires. But at the same time, there was just so much love I felt within me. And I was absolutely relaxed every time I was meeting even those big people. I mean, big, like known, right, people, and other big people that are not that yet known, but they are truly the pioneers in the field. And just, yeah, being in that energy. And it was funny, like in the beginning, because English is my third language. And I knew that, okay, the purpose was to create that deep connection so people feel safe, and we don't know them. I mean, it's more or less for the first time I was meeting those people straight to the interview. I mean, no warming up or nothing, and most of them, they didn't even know what to expect, like, to be honest, right? So because they're busy, they don't read all about the initiative, they just jump in and literally, receive those big questions, deep questions. So yeah, when I was doing those interviews, I remember the first kind of maybe 5, I was so aware about all of the things I have to do, like, look at the camera, like listen, try to not forget those 2 questions we were asking. I mean, like learning the skill set, right? And like summarizing. And then I was like, at the same time, while I was summarizing, thinking about my own English language, does it make sense now, that sentence or not? So it was, it was kind of, sometimes I felt very comfortable, sometimes I didn't, depending again with whom I spoke and what, I mean, if it was very late in the evening, like nearly the midnight, or it was during the day. So it's, but it was transcendent purely. And what it gave me, like right now, knowing that I've done that in English, and knowing that probably 90% of all our participants, English was as well their third or maybe even fourth language. We feel with Vilma that far more confident, and we don't even question our English skills anymore. Like before that, it was like, okay, we are from Lithuania, so it's like a tiny little country somewhere in the Baltic states, and we allowed ourselves to tell that narrative and make ourselves in a way smaller. But I believe what it has given our team, it is we completely erase that narrative, and now we just know that it's everything, it's in our minds. And once we decide to go for something absolutely unknown and big and audacious, I mean, something is happening, with your brain, with your whole being. It's like, it's because it is the unknown, it is it's broadening you up in all the senses. And I truly mean senses. Not only the responsibility, because something happens, you begin to synchronize, like your brain starts to integrate pieces and information and experience and what you hear in a far more intentional way that you would rather sit down and put that in a Gantt chart. So that was an amazing journey for me, but as well for our entire team, and I believe as well that those who participated.
Oh, I so agree. I love that you brought up the language thing, because something I've noticed in my work, I've been coaching for 22 years, and I have noticed that especially women who are speaking their second or third language, English as their second or third language, they avoid making money in that language, speaking, doing speaking engagements, teaching in that language, even though they're often in a geographical location that makes working locally limited financially, right? So, but they are so nervous, even when they have perfect English. And some of them, it doesn't matter what I've said over the years, where I'm like, your English is I want to learn from you, because if you're speaking English as a second language, and I know it because of your accent, I'm more interested in learning from you, because I recognize that you're actually working at a different level when you're able to communicate in different languages. You're working at a different level to those who are only native English speakers, which is contrary to how the world culturally normally thinks. If you're like mother tongue English speaker, then it's easier. But I personally remember when I first moved to Italy, how hard this is just what I want to recognize for both of you, to break through that, the decision to break through that. And now it's a permanent change, right? But the decision to break through that is really hard, because I remember the first major speaking event that I was paid for ever, I did in Italian. And it was like, I didn't speak, I said ciao, I knew ciao. That was it. Spaghetti, ciao, that's it. And I did a full like TED style talk to a whole room of Italian digital nomads in Italian. And I went through this whole process of, I wrote my speech, then I had it professionally translated, then I had an Italian native speaker adjust me and like adjust my pronunciation. I read the whole thing. I had to sit on a stool on the stage because my knees were shaking so bad that I couldn't stand. I was like, you're gonna have to get me a chair. Like, I'll do it, but like holding the paper like this, and it took me a really long time, but I forced myself to do it. And from that moment, now I would speak in any language. I would put myself through that fire to speak in any language, present in any language, because that is a permanent level that you then get to. And a world record is very like this. It's a fire that you choose to forge yourself within. And it's hard. We're not talking about doing some kind of average project. It's been pushing you in every direction possible, stretching you, and like you've got to choose to be stretched and changed by it. But I wanted to recognize the two of you as having that courage to and being an inspiration for other women who around the world who are very talented, very educated, very like have amazing ideas, but are letting that language barrier stop them, even when they have perfect English, which so many people do, or they've learned it at school, you know, or it's not perfect also. So what? If we can communicate, right? And the fact that so many of the participants did not speak English as a first language, and these are people, if there's a message that I can encourage people to take from the project itself, and you can go to the Holistic Enterprise on YouTube and watch the whole playlist so you can see what we're talking about, is that language, there are no barriers to achieving greatness. It's a choice to make that difficult step. And avoiding that step in communicating with people is the reason that so many people just don't achieve that greatness, because it is like terrifying. It is terrifying, but once you do it, there's no going back now. You can do anything, anywhere, right? You're working with there's things to tell still. I want to just quickly go back to two things here. I'll go to you, Vilma. I want to talk about the easy yes. So we coached quite a bit on this during the project. How do we get the world's busiest people, because this project was very different to a mass participation world record. And I'll come back to you about that, the quality level in a minute, Laura. This world record was about higher quality, not more participation. So one of the things that we recognized very early on was that, yeah, these people are super busy. So going back to your point, Vilma, about you're not so worried about a no, and it's because we got so many yeses, right? That helps. Like, so we coached quite a bit on how do you get an easy yes from the world's most hounded people. They got people emailing them, contacting them constantly in their face. What was the process? What did you learn from that about how do we get those people to say yes?
You know, Crystal, I'm laughing. I mean, I think that, well, the process itself, of course, you know, there are like tiny little things, you know, down, watch and manage and understand, and then handle communication, etc. But it recalls me the moment when I was feeling that it's kind of, you know, something far beyond communication means, far beyond any process, because of intention. And it might sound a little bit esoteric, but it was. I mean, we were inviting people and approaching, keeping in mind not, he's so busy, how should I put, you know, to sell it or something. No, we were focused so much on intention that we are doing great thing. And we know that if you come in, if you step into our project, your support is very much valuable for us, for all participants, for entire world, and we are doing our best to create value for you, because you will have those 20 minutes or 30 minutes just with yourself, and you can again decide and choose how much vulnerable and you can be, and what message you would love to give for our project and the entire world. And it worked. I remember jumping on the calls with like teams of our very known participants, and I had no time to think about English or something. I mean, I just was focused so much to answer very clearly all possible questions with all love. I understand that team has to do their job, and you know, to fill spots with information and to understand what's going on, and where their speaker is involved to. So truly living intention and living our purpose, it made surprisingly easy.
Yep, like shockingly easy. I think yeah, it's just like, oh, that was just a yes, straight back yes on the calendar, thank you, the end.
We cannot be prisoners of our own fears. This was the main thing that we had on the table, and used this principle. We cannot be prisoners of our past experience. We cannot be prisoners of our fears. And well, going with love and energy, and if somebody is not responding, oh, he most probably doesn't like it. No, the silence doesn't mean anything. It could be a spam box, it could be a business trip, it could be illness, it could be a lot of different things. We just don't know. And we can think what other ways to reach out to this person are, and we try to do this. So it was not linear process. If you expect from us to hear the recipe for somebody, no, this was completely unlinear. We had very efficient communication within the team, kind of like sharing, okay, you putting like LinkedIn, you sending mails, what other ways, what you can do. And well, if somebody does not work, and even now, after this official ceremony and completion of our attempt at registering the world record, we still receiving mails. It's such a nice project. How I can step in? Maybe I can contribute some way, and people like asking for the stage 2, and they want to be part of it. So one that was not linear and good energy and love, but another thing, we are doing this having in mind not just we want to hit the record and period. We want to be laureates of world record and this is the price of this game. No, it is, from the very beginning we knew that it is just a stage, it is just a beginning, it is just possibility to get power, to bring together people and to co-create further. So this also made us like full of energy and love and creative. Yeah.
Oh my God. So many things I love about what you just said. Let me try and, so the first thing is, it is, and we spoke from the beginning, a world record is, it's the stone dropped. It can be the be all and end all. I mean, I'm not the coach for people if, my company is not for the people that just want to go, I just want a world record on my wall and I don't care how it affects the world. We know from the beginning, and all of our conversations are always, this is it. What are we going to do with it? When you create this amazing platform through the work that we choose to do together, which is completely bespoke. And as you said, it's never going to be linear. If people are looking for like a cookie cutter legacy, I mean, no legacy is cookie cutter. It just is an oxymoron. So I love what you said about that it is always growing. And as you evolve to a certain level, you realize there's a level beyond that and beyond that and beyond that and beyond that. And there's like, we're already thinking 10 steps ahead. So even though the world record to the world, it's like, whoa, what an achievement. And by the way, the numbers that you achieved was without traditional social media use. So those numbers are even more astounding because we didn't rely on Facebook or Instagram. It wasn't a mass participation world record at all. It's on YouTube. We used LinkedIn to find the people because they were this high quality people. So the numbers are even more astounding. But the biggest thing I think that you just said there, Vilma, is something that I've said for a long time is your energy introduces you way before you enter the room. And that is a virtual room, especially a virtual room. There's something magical about the era that we're in where technology conveys your essence without you even speaking. And so, yeah, we worked on the wording and we worked on the emails and we worked on the system. And these are all things I can teach. But I cannot, that's a choice that the two of you made and the whole team made to be in the energy of, we are going to this level that has never been done. Even these people, like, you realize that these people have never done a world record. So then you start to realize that the people that used to seem like they're up here, actually we have something to teach them because we're already thinking beyond something they've ever chosen to do, which is why those really big people that most people would be like literally in the bathroom, running to the bathroom, even thinking of approaching them about a project, you start to realize, hang on, where's their world record? Like, where is, yeah, I love what they're doing. And we're also doing something astounding that they have never done. It's different. And that gives a kind of confidence. And it also makes you way too busy to care about no's.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, we didn't have time in this project for anybody to be like, oh, someone said no to me. I think this stops a lot of people. They're afraid of the rejection. One thing that can destroy fear of rejection in life is legacy. Having a focus on a legacy, thinking way bigger than any single action could ever matter to. When you're thinking at this level of like, what is the permanent change? What bothers me about the world? What do I want to see different in my lifetime for my children, my children's children? How do I want this to look? And that actually, Laura, that was an interesting question you started asking during the process. What do we want the world to look like in 100 years? I loved when you started adding that question in, because people's answers are like, whoa! Some of them are just, I highly encourage everybody to go and watch the playlist and watch what people say about that, because some of it's like completely alien thinking, right? Like where you're just like, no way. But when you're at a legacy level, and that is a process. So in the beginning, it's like a world record. Whoa, this is crazy. And then you realize the world record in relation to what you're going to do with the platform, it's the smallest part of the whole concept, which is crazy when you think about it. It's crazy to go world's best, world first is, and I say this all the time, world's best or anything that's ever been done before is at a minus. If it's been done before, we're already born ahead of that. We just have to start the mindset process of thinking, I am capable of creating a world first at any level, with any participant, with any type of project that means something to me. And that's where the passion comes from. And everybody knows that. They're just going to say yes straight away, because they're just like, whoa, I have to be a part of this. And I love that you said people are reaching out now going, can we be a part of it now? I mean, there's always FOMO afterwards. So I encourage anybody out there, if you see one of our projects coming your way, I suggest you say yes when you have the chance, because it will pass you by. And there's other ways to work with, especially Laura and Vilma. There's so much at the end. We'll talk about what's next for you and what people can do with you. But Laura, I want to talk to you about the quality of the project. So when we were developing this one, a question that I often get, people come to me and say, I desperately want to do a world record, but does it have to be a mass participation world record? That is a hangover. That question is a hangover from the last 70 years of a monopoly in the world record space, right? Where it looks like you have to all put on a mascot costume and jump on trampolines to achieve a world record. And this is something that my company is really, we are focused on changing this narrative completely. And I feel like this project is a really special example of how to be beyond world-class thinkers, beyond world-class action, without it needing to look the way everybody expects it to look. So part of the process for us was, what is this world record, right? And there were some very clear desires from your side where you wanted this to be something special, and there was a lot of back and forth before we decided exactly what this project looked like. So I'd love if you would talk a little bit about the fact that this project, what you wanted was quality over quantity, and that was the leverage point. So do you want to tell me a bit of your thinking around why you chose that?
Well, I think that when Vilma and I, we've spoken about what's the intention, what's the purpose, and what's that biggest audacious impact of ours, and kind of going back from our vision that by 2027 we want to reach and kind of inspire over 1 million leaders, and with some of the bravest minds craft substantial transcendent experiences and actually give the world the examples of holistic business kind of approach and practices. So we thought we are a small team, and knowing that the way we work and that we truly put our hands, minds, and souls into and become actually ourselves a part of their ecosystem, we simply knew that, we don't need the community of 1,000 leaders who are joining for the sake of joining, because it's not now that is needed. It would be allied to ourselves. That's the way I felt. So I was always like, when we've been iterating and kind of designing, it was like always sinking deeper and deeper in my body and understanding, is that resonating fully? Is that aligned completely? And yeah, that's how we thought, let's talk to those. It's better to have 20, but they are at that level. So when we said that, we thought, all right, this is what we want. And with the communication and with our energy and intention, we put that communication forward on LinkedIn and as well on the funnel, on the website that you've done, Crystal, so amazingly well. And people will start recognizing if they are, if they either want to be represented as they are described, or they already are. So I believe that it helped us and them to select and to really kind of think, am I really at that level, or am I committed to become at that level? So that was probably the entire process. And at the same time, because we thought that we wanted to gather the not only the answers for that significant question, how is the world better off, because your company is in it, but we as well wanted to gather some more substantial business practices they do in private life and in their teams, and to create that asset of wisdom. So the only way we could do that with these busy people was through connecting with them one-on-one, and knowing that still a world record has to have certain linear time frame. So it's obvious that, we can't do 1,000. And
okay, we had an internet dropout, but I captured everything that you said, even if the screen froze. So if you're watching the edit, people, what I want to reflect back there is there are there are things that we legally have to do to say, yes, this is a world record. It fits within our parameters, which we have to have. You can't just like willy-nilly. That's an Australian. Do you guys have you heard that before? Willy-nilly. It's an Australian, very Australian thing. Willy-nilly means like randomly, okay, in Australian slang. Just go, oh, well, we're the best. There's parameters. There are hard guidelines. There are a lot of considerations. The first of which, is this a world first? Does this have an ambitious mission? Is this supportive of something bigger than ourselves, right? These are some of our parameters. So what has been important, I think, in this process, and so beautifully done within the way we collaborated, was that when it felt misaligned to you, straight away, you were very quick to say to me, no, that's not what we're doing here. And we went back and forth to go, okay, what matters? And even when we had the parameters and we had decided what we were doing, this process continued where we kept going, wait, are we doing this action for the sake of doing an action? Or does this matter to the outcomes? I think what was really, and a lot of stuff we scrapped, we're just like, this actually doesn't matter. It's just busy work. It's not going to change the outcomes. It's not going to get the right people on board. We're just falling back into the habit of we have to be doing the busy work, right? And this was like something that I was really proud to see happening within the collaboration, was that everybody took that initiative to say, hang on a minute, does this matter? Or could we rest? Could we take a walk? Could we change this, or just scrap it all together? And there were many things where we went, let's just not do that. Great, cool.
A lot
of things that we just said, let's just not do that because it doesn't matter. What does matter? And we kept coming back to, is this achieving the heart and soul and core purpose that this project is designed around? And I feel like that's something that you really have to offer. Your team has to offer the world, is that alignment in terms of, it's not about, and this is what you do in the holistic enterprise, which is so beautiful. It's not about well, we have this structure and we have these rules and these are the KPIs and these are the things that we're doing, but it is constant work, even when you are experts at this, to constantly deconstruct that habit from society of we have to do things a certain way. So I love how the project came together and I also think it was an incredibly smart project, because instead of looking at, let's just get everybody to sign up, and that has a place. There are world records where I would say it's really important to create mass representation, for example, underrepresented cultures or groups. It's important to flood the internet with certain types of representation. That wasn't the case here. The case here was creating a best practices, a bucket, as we said at the beginning, as you were saying. The most important thing to come out of this is not even the world record. It is the knowledge base, the data of world best practices that can be then studied and disseminated to every leader, 1 million impact-driven leaders on Earth by 2027. It's the information, the wisdom that you gathered from this project. So of course, to do that, then we had to start looking at who are the best leaders in, it was 40 industries, 40 different industries, 52 interviews, 26 countries. So it being global mattered. It being high quality mattered. And what I think was really smart about this is there are so many ways to have impact. One way is to reach a lot of people yourself. Another way is to speak to the people who reach way more people than you ever could in your life. So what has happened through those 52 interviews is you have created a leverage point there where these people collectively reach billions of people daily, through their media, through their articles, through their own companies, like billions of people. It's immeasurable how many people have actually seen this project because of the people. So there are ways, if anybody out there is thinking, oh, there's only one way to achieve a world record, or there's only one type of world record, it just isn't true. A world record, a legacy is a bespoke experience. It has to be truthful. And when it is, and you're honest and you're brave enough to say, wait, is this aligned? I mean, I know we're going to world best, but do I have to follow there's certain rules that are non-breakable and everything else is negotiable. It has to be the highest possible level. Is this the best we can do? Is this person really aligned? And I know there were some people that there was a decision where I was like, this person actually isn't right for this project. We're not going to take that person, right? We're going up here. And so I really loved that about this project. And I think it's very, very inspiring that you have, so this is a point I want to make, self-reflection. All right, this is what makes a champion. I loved your post the other day, Laura, and we're so in sync because I have this whole content list lately of things I'm going to be talking about. And one is the difference between champions and almost champions, or champions and winners, as you put it, actually, Laura, on your post very beautifully. A champion is somebody who develops themselves through self-responsibility and self-reflection to achieve something greater than just their own achievements, right? They champion a cause, they champion a group, they champion. It's not only for themselves. That's the difference between a champion and someone who just achieves things. And the work that you did, it's champion work. And I saw this in real time, that the way that you and your team sat back and went, wait a sec, this is off. I'm not just going to do it for the sake of it. I'm actually going to say, I'm not okay with this, or I'm not doing this in the way that I want to do it. I want to develop myself in this particular area, etc., which many people shy away from. And it is the difference. If someone was going to ask me the ultimate difference between someone who can achieve a world record and someone who will never achieve a world record, and the statistics are, the current statistics, which are measurable, are that out of every 1,000 people who attempt a world record, only one succeeds. That's the current data. And you can imagine how many people do not even attempt this level. That's 99.999% of the planet. Very few people on Earth will ever hold a world record in anything. Very few. I mean, like, it's 0.00 something% of people who will ever develop themselves to this level. And what I really want to honor both of you with is that you chose that level continually. And I know what that took. I know what that took on a daily basis. I know what it took emotionally. I know what it took physically. I know what it took mentally. And you kept choosing it. And not only did you keep choosing it, you chose to be open about it, transparent about it, honest about it, to adjust things. And so this is something that you and your company are very special at, but just you as people, I just think that you're wonderful people in this way, that you really take strong personal responsibility, and then you use that to elevate yourself and therefore billions of people, because you've now reached billions of people through the leverage that you created, right? It's just amazing. And I don't know.
I believe that. Yeah.
The more you think about it, it's like, because
can I add something where my mind just now? I remember it was like Sunday, March something, maybe 20th. I need to look at the calendar, but it was Sunday, and it was just before the that official announcement that the world record is starting, and that we literally, it was absolutely the project that was organically built as we went through and weaved, the intention as we went through. And that Sunday was the first time probably in so many years. I didn't even feel that much, stress as I was giving a birth to my son, as I felt on that Sunday. It was literally, freezing me. And I'm normally a very brave person, and that something would freeze my mind or my body, that's a completely another level. And I was even, willing to vomit. That's how bad the entire body felt. And I remember the moment I was like driving a car with Zoya to the seaside, and it was that feeling, that overwhelm that I couldn't put in my body. And I thought, like, what is, how can Laura be beyond that? So I was literally asking myself that question and walking on the beach, like, who is on the other side? And how can I meet her on that other side? And it took me just a couple of phone calls to Vilma and another friend just to share that loudly. And I think maybe even you, Crystal, because I was constantly with you on voice messages, and it helped so much for the entire process, because the way you see people and the way you lifted, especially me up, through the whole period, it was it was amazing. I mean, you are the best on the planet to do that. I mean, only with you people can do these amazing things, world records, because you're an adorable coach. And so so it was that experience. And I remember coming back home that evening, and I have a whiteboard just in front of me. I deleted everything, and I sat down where Zoya is sitting, and I was looking at that empty whiteboard, and a sentence came out, and then I just written that: take massive responsibility. Take responsibility and ownership. This is my thing. This is not Crystal's responsibility. This is not the responsibility of Vilma or the team beyond. This is my responsibility. And that truly helped me to be that, suddenly to be that different Laura, where I would not have any expectations to anyone anymore. And that was amazing. suddenly everything was so easy. And even, if our assistant would make a mistake, I would make a mistake, someone else would make a mistake. It was like, what whatever. We just kept on kept on moving forward, and without even a second going backwards, in, as Vilma says, in that prison of me putting myself in a narrative and feeling the joy of the pain I'm creating for myself. So it was so liberating. And those thoughts, they were, I was aware of my own awareness. And when we speak about that intention, that and self-reflection, that to dare to recognize and to stop, I know that throughout some of the interviews I was bringing that question forward, because naturally I was asking all of the questions. I was curious myself because I had them, otherwise I wouldn't be asking them. So I was asking several CEOs, like, how do you bring your whole self to the collective when you sit down at the round table with a board, and that pressure to grow at any cost, or the narrative or the story kicks in, and you just before you park the car, you knew that it's wrong, because you've been alone in solitude driving the car, kind of anchored to who you are, and suddenly you step into another room, you see the people, and like, what does it take for you to say no? And how do you feel about that? And what type of rituals then can be embodied in our collective kind of being, and then evolve to collective consciousness, so we feel absolutely okay to say, no, let's stop here and now, and let's ask ourselves, our Gantt chart, yes, is showing these things. How is that still aligned with what we want? And that was interesting, because many of them, they said, yeah, I mean, they feel that pressure, and very few dare to kind of, maybe it's 20 people, maybe it's 100 people listening to you as a leader. And here and now, you know in your body that it's not aligned something, but you just have to feel that signal so clearly, and to articulate that bravely enough, and raise those questions, as Naveen Jain says, right? It's all about, right, asking those bold and brave questions that shifts the humanity, and kind of makes the experiment that is breaking the paradigm. Because otherwise, in his words, if we are just experimenting for experimenting's sake and not breaking the reality, we just wasted an experiment. So this is why we are doing that with Vilma and the team, and it's not, very often it's not comfortable to say even, no to Crystal. Not no to Crystal, but knowing that you've been sitting down, drilling in the strategy for, I don't know, the 5th time, and here I am coming again and saying, oh, okay, this part is good, but this one, no, I don't feel good, right? So it's like, you feel, because you love the person, you value the work, but so it's, I believe that this is where we want to take every leader further. So in that non-linear world, we can bring whole selves to that collective consciousness, and then help to elevate everyone around, just as we did with this world record. Vilma and I and the team and you, we are literally, inspiring people around us, and kind of helping them to evolve together. So yeah, and those practices, the ones we want to discover, is about that.
Oh my gosh.
If I may to add, I hope shortly, but just, while listening to you, Laura, it made me think that this, like, what intention, we kind of like starting to discover, working with this asset, to listening to our own reflections and to our participants, we kind of starting to unfold like deeper and deeper and deeper, like secret layers of best practices. And one thing what now very clearly popped out for me was the intention itself. Even with this like example of the boardroom, when you go with intention to fight, to protect, to compete, you're losing such amount of energy and everything, and the result is different. But when you go with intention to share your view, to share your understanding, to invite, look for better solution, I mean, and admitting that I know my intention, but I most probably I know that there are more ways than just one. Or sometimes I cannot formulate even this one way how to achieve it, but I know. And this bravery to share and open up without intention to, I just proved that I was right. Who cares? I mean, who is right? But the overall result is far beyond who is right or who is wrong at the moment of time. So yeah, so it was my reflection, and this like kind of like in having intention when you speak up, when you carry on what's aligned, what's important for you, it makes a lot of difference.
So true. The first thing I want to say is thank you so much for your kind words. And I can assure you it has been my deep, deep, deep pleasure to work with you. And we're still working together. It's not done, but it's genuinely a pleasure. And just to add on what you're both saying there, something that I've always believed in, the truth is quickest. That's very simply, the truth is quickest. If you are in alignment with that radical self-responsibility, there are things you're not going to like about what's going on inside. And I really feel like a world record, the reason it's something more special than a marketing campaign or blah, blah, how is this different? Sometimes we get this question, how is this different to a summit? How is this different to a marketing campaign of other kinds? You know why it's different? Because you are under an extreme magnifying glass and you will need to face yourself. Look at Zoya. We have mascots on this world record, everybody. Zoya and Nera. There's Zoya. Yeah, she was chasing the drone when we were filming on the beach in Lithuania. But yeah, when you're under this microscope, because it is quite the thing to say, I am going to be the best in the world. It doesn't matter at what. I rode a rickshaw. It's one of the most ridiculous things. I don't know. People say to me, why a rickshaw? I'm like, I just thought it was funny. It was more interesting than a
your choice.
It felt joyous. It was yellow. I was like, this is a joyous choice. And that was, but what I learned through that is when you say to the world, and that's why the day we launch is the day you want to vomit, because it's the day you are admitting to the world, I am going to go to this level and I could fuck this right up. Like, you're all going to see how I don't achieve this. Like, that's the fear that occurs. Like, we're facing every fear we've ever had as a human being. It's an intense microscope. And to have the courage to walk through that with self-responsibility, the way some people react to that is to destroy everything around them and create blame and shame and drama, and to just destroy the place, right? Everything, relationships with everybody, it's everybody else's fault that I'm feeling this way. When you take radical responsibility and you're like, these are the things I'm learning about myself today. I don't like all of them, but the fact that I see them, I'm going to work on them. That is how we create a better future for humanity. That's how we stretch and evolve as human beings, as the human race, to be able to create true impact. It's individual. And even though we took a lot of actions, and Laura, you're probably still recovering from how many how many interviews sometimes we're doing 5 in a day. I know how exhausting that is. You know, it's a high pressure situation, extremely high. It's the highest pressure situation. It's a world record. It's nothing like a usual marketing thing. But at the same time, the actions are not the difficult part. It's the internal personal journey and the decision to be honest. And if you couldn't say no to me as your coach, I have done my job very badly, right? The fact that you were able to say no, and knowing that that would not break our relationship, that's part of my values as a coach, as a person. We're the same people. I love how aligned we are in this concept of, it doesn't matter if I'm doing a world record. I am also a mum. I also need to run, right? I also need to do my own thing over here. There are times when I'm going to need to tap out. There's times where I'm going to say, this is wrong, and be able to say that. And I think that speaks to our beautiful relationship, which I appreciate so much, that we're all able to say no, and it doesn't damage anything because it creates further alignment. So I appreciate that you felt able to say no to me, and that you were able to do that from a place of, I've checked myself first, right? I'm taking responsibility first, and then I'm taking it outside. Then I'm taking it to the team. Then we're developing the project. So that's why it was so high quality, because of these things. So one thing I want to ask about, most people are like, how on earth do I create sponsorships and partnerships? And you two are the queens of sponsorships and partnerships. So we have some absolutely amazing partners on this project. So I wanted to talk about that process. So Vilma, you were talking about when you realized the value, right, in this project, that you have something to offer. I don't know which one of you wants to take this question, maybe Laura, about how you looked into sponsorships, how you thought about that, how you looked to people, because I know part of the discussion we had was not just where do you get money from. Anybody watching who's like, where do we get this kind of money? There are so many people with money, and money is just a tool. It's a resource. It's neutral. It's the same as any kind of tool or resource. It's neutral. Lots of people have it. Lots of people have it. Lots of people you know have it. So how did you approach because you achieved some really special partnerships, which were financial partnerships in return for things that we can offer, which were very valuable. How did you choose the people that you wanted to partner with on this level? What was that process like? And then how did you go about creating those partnerships?
I guess the first time when we spoke with you and when you shared your long-term, impact-driven mission and invited us to be a part of that, I instantly said yes, even without knowing the price, because I knew that it's just gonna be a matter of our intention and efforts, and basically that's it. I relied on our network when I made that choice, and I made that choice even without Vilma. I just said to you yes, and then went out from that, and then called Vilma, and then we said, fine, we shouldn't, because that vision and impact is not only ours, and it would be first of all probably wrong to finance it ourselves, because it's such a big vision, right? And there are so many people who want to belong to that and etc. And because we are a team of a very small team, we truly knew that it's just our job to pull those resources in, because we have to be in our resourcefulness as well. So literally it was a week before Christmas, it was a week before Christmas. And that week, without even, yet knowing how the entire thing will, roll out, what's gonna that be like looking like. So I just crafted on Canva the purpose, the impact, the milestones, like roughly, and what are we gonna give to the sponsors, and then the price. And literally we, with Vilma, for that entire week, we've been calling to our clients, and some non our clients who became actually the partners, as 𝐘𝐒 Group. So we've been calling to people whom, like to CEOs with whom we have very good relationship, and we normally have with all of our clients a very good like friend relationship. And we literally shared, honestly, I've been sharing your mission, and then saying we've got the opportunity to represent Lithuania and do something that is, you know, probably never gonna be done in the entire 50 years or, you know, or more. And would you want to be a part of that? And they would say, you know, that sounds interesting. Everyone was saying that sounds interesting, so cool, so great that you guys are so creative. Can you send me more information? So definitely we've been sending that kind of a PDF file and then following up. And then literally we landed 3 partners, and they are all aligned. And we've been kind of choosy whom we want to represent, because we wanted those leaders to walk the talk and not only get the money for getting the money. So we've been very lucky to get stansefabriken and 𝐾𝐿 and Saulis glued us in, and they sponsored us with that. And yeah, I still remember when we received the first email from stansefabriken that they are financing. We've been like, literally, I was just jumping here, you know, like screaming and saying, "Oh my God, we got it!"
There was a lot of jumping and screaming in this. Like Naveen Jain saying yes, there was a broken bed situation.
Yeah, it was. It was. Actually, I mean, and then I said to Vilma, when I reflected, that was the easiest sales we've ever done. I mean, literally, because normally when you invite people to do the transformation and transcend, because it is a commitment. It is a time commit. It's not about the money. And in our business, it's about committing, and normally committing when you are having good business, not when you are in minus with the business and your resourcefulness. And that's what makes it difficult to sell. So selling or inviting people to become a part of this initiative and paying for that, that was the easiest thing to do. I mean, literally, I went even so far with Vilma. We talked, what if we could establish nonprofit organization, right, and kind of do more things, like more initiatives from with the people who think at that level, because they have the money, they don't have time to do all these good deeds, but maybe we have, you know, maybe some others have. So I just think that if someone is sitting and, you know, watching this and thinking about where to get the money, as you say, the money is not the problem. Even today, I'm sure that in the banks there's far more money than ever been, and there are people who want to belong and do some big things, and why not to reach out and talk with them, kind of quite loosely, and just share your intention truthfully, and then talk again, because normally it took us, again, I believe 3 as a minimum 3 conversations. And I know that Crystal, you've been in one of them that truly, I think, helped for 𝐘𝐒 Group to see that, you know, that this is real, this is something truly big and audacious. So yeah, it was it's the easiest part of the world record.
Yeah, because there's so much to offer. There's so much in return. I love that you're thinking this way. When you stop thinking insularly, like, where am I going to get this money? And you start thinking, this project is for all of humanity for all of time, then resources are so not the problem at all. They become such a minimal part of the conversation. And when you do something like a world record, again, the reason it's different to other marketing or visibility type activities is because you genuinely are creating, and especially what we do as world firsts. World first can never be broken. There will never be another opportunity like this. And obviously on my end, we have a production company, we have documentaries, we have, you know, you're doing a book with this one, you're doing case studies. There's so much that we have to offer. When you get into the space of we're doing something for the future of all humanity, then it's so easy for people to get on board. And you just reiterated the point so beautifully. There's a lot of people with a lot of money. The money is just not the problem. Money is actually the most renewable resource on earth because it's not even real. Let's not even get into that conversation, especially now. It's numbers in an online bank account. It's not even a real thing. And many people have lots of not real money, and they're willing to give it for something that they truly believe in. And you're giving them this opportunity, but you're also delivering value that is measurable, because we can measure how many people the world record reaches. We can measure how many lives are impacted by this person's ideas. And I love that about your interviews that you did in this, where people are impacted by the way others are thinking. That is a true legacy, where the minds of people are permanently altered. Me watching these interviews, I was like, my God, mind blown, never thought of it that way. One example would be Naveen Jain's interview, where, Laura, you said, you know, where do you think, if you could die and come back in 100 years, where would we be? And the first thing he said was, well, don't assume I'm not going to be here in 100 years. That's what my company
was 800. Yeah.
I was like, whoa, hang on. This is a conversation and a half. It makes you think, like, do I want to be here in 300 years? What does that mean for humanity? These kind of things we can measure so much, and that's why sponsorships and partnerships in a world record, they are the easiest sales that you will ever make, because we can deliver very measurable things, but the things that we truly deliver are immeasurable outcomes, which is how you have changed a narrative, how you've changed the face of humanity, how you've changed the face of an industry, how you've changed the direction that we're moving in, which I really think is what this project truly did and is continuing to do and will continue to do, because I believe you still have, at the point of us recording this, there is one more partnership opportunity available. Am I right? So yes. Anybody watching this interview who wants to be a part of this, you still have the opportunity, one person. But there's so much further to go, and it truly has changed the way people think about the future, about sustainability, the conversations like, how is the world a better place? So many of these leaders weren't asking themselves this question, which was coined by Andrew Winston, who was a part of the world record, and Paul Polman in their book Net Positive. So many things happened here. So what I want to ask you now is, what has happened since the world record that's really exciting, and what is next?
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, what has happened, I probably would say that Vilma and I, for the first time in those 10 plus years we worked together, we are starting to feel that collective consciousness between us two as the partners of the company. And I feel it every day. So, and that's, I'm knowing that we can tap into this collective consciousness from being who we are. I mean, there is no limits in the entire universe, not even the sky. So, so that what is happening, and I'm just so, kind of swimming in this moment and really enjoying seeing each other, how we react, how we grow, how we reflect. That's amazing. And then the other thing which is happening, we are inviting like a small amount of those CEOs and teams to embody and embed the holistic business principles in the work, where they bring the whole leadership in the boardrooms, in the accountability meetings, and truly melting the boundaries and connecting not only the teams, but as well with the parts of the ecosystem, and being transparent, being vulnerable and brave, by truly tapping into this biggest audacious impact that is not, I mean, some of that can be done with the sustainability directly or aligned with that, but some of that can be solving some of the hugest issues in our society, and then in that sense touching sustainability. And then the book writing, I know that it's as well a process where we've never done that. We don't even know how to do that, but hey guys, now with artificial intelligence coming on board, I know that a team of 3 people, and even us sitting, we can make 1 billion, knowing how to ethically deploy artificial intelligence and use that for helping us to create, let's say, the stories and record the entire transformation, what people are going through. So yeah, that's what's next. It is to work with these brave souls and transcend and evolve together. Definitely write a book, do a lot of communication, which is, again, truthful and honest, raise awareness, and hopefully do the world tour, maybe even before the book. We don't know yet, but I'm sure that, something, we will come up with something naturally. And the documentary movies coming out that we are so excited to see and kind of look back at that. I think that's something which is so good plan from your side, of your team, Extreme Excellence team, that there is a possibility to have this gap when you hit the world record, and then there is something else, and then you see suddenly the film in itself, and then it like hits you, I believe. Truly.
It's something really special about seeing, because when you're inside it, and then I start to ask questions like, how did we get here? And it's a whole thing. I think you would both agree, where you reflect on, how did my life lead me to this choice? And then that's important to us, to reflect the humanity behind the excellence. So yeah, you've got case studies coming. So you have opportunities for people to work with you as a case study, and have their business like revamped by you, essentially, right? Like where you will work with them. There's a world tour coming. There is a book coming. The documentary is coming. There will be a premiere for the documentary, which we are going to plan, and I believe it's going to be in Lithuania. I want to move there, everybody. I was taken care of. Oh my gosh, it was the craziest filming weekend that we probably ever had, but it was so beautiful. We were in a villa together. It was so beautiful, and I was so well taken care of by both of you, and I still feel so loved, and I miss you. It's only been 2 weeks, actually. And we're not going to name names here, but you are in 2 conversations so far with some of these ultra highest level CEOs about business partnerships following the world record. Those conversations are already happening. So it's astounding what you've done. I am so happy for you. I'm so proud of you both. I have watched behind the scenes what it has taken for you to develop yourself to this level. It's been a very human process, and it's also been a really powerful process to see how you've reacted to this. It's been my absolute honor to be able to do this with you, and that you chose us for this work that you're doing in the world, because this has and will continue to change the face of the way people ever do business, the way they treat the earth, the way they treat each other, right? And you're just such a beautiful living example of this. And I'm so happy and proud of all the things that are coming next for you, which are even way bigger than a world record, if it's like possible to conceptualize this. So I want to thank you deeply from me and my team as well for being such wonderful people to work with, so brave, so audacious. Do you want to add anything else before we finish up?
No, I'm nearly starting to cry. Yeah, it's just so good to sit down and reflect 2 weeks after that, because it was a roller coaster. Yeah, and thank you so much. We love working together. We love that we could bring our whole selves, as you said. We all are moms. We all, life happens, and we can plan as much as we want. But kind of knowing that we are in this together, taking that responsibility, and knowing that this is the relationship that is for the lifetime. And that's what matters. And I think if we can bring that type of understanding with every employee, with every team member, with every relationship we have, it makes us become different people. So thank you, Crystal.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Crystal, so much. It was such a great pleasure to work with. And yes, I was, for the end, just we can do impossible things and put efforts. And yes, we were tired sometimes, and we were even exhausted, maybe, and drained out. But this is not the most important thing. I mean, I would not agree that we achieved this world record at too high cost. Not at all. It was elevating. It was nourishing. It was transformative journey, and this is the most important part of it. So thank you so much.
Such a beautiful way to put it, because while it's draining a type of energy, it's also igniting a different type of energy. And my goal is that you feel that we've done like a satisfied project where you could go, I am so proud of that. And also that at the end of it, you're like, yeah, this is something special and it has made a real change. It is so aligned. There is nothing I would change about it. I might be exhausted. And listen, if we weren't exhausted, I said this all along, if you're not exhausted, if you're not tested, if you're not vomiting occasionally, it's not a world record. It's just a marketing campaign. So I love this so much. I know this is like a lifelong partnership that we've got, and that's so valuable to me. And I adore you both, and I'm so, so proud of you. And thank you to our mascots, Nera and Soya. And
yeah,
I wanted to mention as well, Blue Yellow Ukraine, who this project is supporting. We've got lots of things coming up. All of those things we mentioned are going to be supporting Blue Yellow Ukraine. I love that the decision, and this is in the documentary, another spoiler, the decision when the Russian-Ukraine started. Laura will talk about this in the documentary, but the decision was to go bigger, not to be smaller, right? It was a decision we have to do something with our lives. We have to do something great where we, as I say, leave it all on the track, where we feel we have given it everything that is within our power and beyond to leave a legacy we're truly proud of. And you've definitely done that. And I'm so proud of you both. I love you.
Love you too, Crystal. Thank you.
Thank you.